Video Game Workshop. We're super excited that you are with us in good company with a bunch of gamers who feel like at home with gamers, you know? All right, let's see. The question right now is, what are you currently playing? I'm going through. This is cool, cool feature. Okay, Modern Warfare, yes. I think I went through all these.
Ooh, lots of Minecraft. Any Minecraft dungeons? Or did that game kind of die out?
I'm not sure. I was never into Minecraft. Never got into it. I'm kind of like, I missed it in age. I missed it by like probably about 5 years. Someone's playing Minecraft right now. Some people don't like, ooh, Rocket League. Yes, Lisa. Rocket League. That's my jam. Animal Crossing. Dude, Animal Crossing was big during this quarantine.
Yeah, I think personally I have over 170 hours myself.
On Animal Crossing?
Yeah, just on Animal Crossing alone.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do formal greetings, but I am Max, and this is my good buddy Armando.
Hello, everyone.
Cool. Doom. Slime Rancher. Someone says they have a 360. Hey, that's a great system. That's a super great system. I like it.
Who said Slime Rancher? Because that game's amazing. I played through the whole entire game in just one sitting.
Really? I have not played that. I'm not too familiar with it. Let me see. I'm more of a visual person, so if I see it. Oh, no. That looks cool, though. Slime Rancher? That looks cool. Kind of down. No one said fighters, huh? Injustice. I like Injustice. Paper Mario RPGs, Minecraft, Nintendo Switch, Slime Rancher, Lego Legacy. Here's everyone coming in. All right. What are we talking about? We are talking about gaming, and we're going to start our workshop in a little bit, but right now we're just asking the chat, we're asking everybody, what game are you playing right now, or what's your favorite game right now? FIFA, there's some sports games. Minecraft.
Seen lots of Minecraft and Roblox.
Yeah.
Lots of Destiny 2.
Destiny 2. 2K. 2K's
I don't know if you guys saw
right
the
now.
new update for Destiny 2. It's going to be coming out soon. Looks amazing.
Ooh.
Should be super fun.
All right, we'll give it about 2 more minutes, and then we will start the official workshop.
Yeah, let's do it.
Pokemon Alpha. Wow. GTA. I can beat Sans, Valorant. It's hard to keep up. Injustice 2. You play that, Armando?
Injustice 2? No, I could never get into that style of fighting games. I'm definitely more a Smash dude.
So you like well, like Smash isn't that fast paced, but like I feel like Injustice is like kind of that slower, like ground pound kind of beat 'em up style, and then on the other side you have fighters, Dragon Ball Z fighters, and that's like super fast paced nuts, and then in the middle it's like Smash.
Yeah,
as
that's a good comparison.
Yeah.
Even though like I do like Blaze Blue and like Guilty Gear and things like that. Injustice 2 always just felt a little bit too slow for me. At least when playing
it is. It's an acquired taste. You know, Blaze Blue right now is starting to really pick up some steam. I was a buddy of mine was playing that like 8 months ago when it first came out, and like nobody was playing it, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's also I think 50% off right now on the eShop.
Ooh, black, so cool. All right, well it's on our time 12:02. It might be 3:02. It might be 1:02. It might be 2:02. If you're in Hawaii, it might be 9 in the morning. So here we are LA area. My name is Max. I'm a youth pastor in Pasadena, California. So Pasadena is just a city right outside of downtown Los Angeles. And with me, I got my good buddy Armando. Armando, you want to introduce yourself and kind of what brings you to this workshop?
Yeah, so I got asked not too long ago to kind of help lead this workshop for you guys. Personally, I've known Pastor Max for, man, how many years would it actually be
I think
now?
you were like second grade. So I was
Yeah,
actually Armando's youth pastor. So we've
yeah,
been gaming for a long time, dude.
for a very long time to say the least.
Yeah.
And personally, like what I love about when I got into the game industry was the helping hands I received along the way. And being able to do that myself is such a blessing, and I hope I can share some knowledge with you guys today.
Yeah, I think it's awesome because Armando is 22 years old and he makes video games. So I'm 30, and when I was playing video games as a kid, you know, the mindset was stop wasting your time. Video games isn't going to take you anywhere. I love where video games has developed because actually you can have a career. You can use video games to as a living, but also like at our church, we have a video game ministry and we open our youth building up once a month and we have monthly tournaments. So if you're passionate about video games, it's probably why you're part of this workshop. And we have Armando here who is really not that far away from high school, who has passion about video games, wanted to make video games for a living, and is actually doing that. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm super thankful for everyone who's joining in and thankful for Armando for joining us this afternoon. So, all right, dude, you want to take it away? Later on, we'll do a Q&A. So if you just want to keep those questions coming in, you can do in the Q&A section. It's a little easier to see than on the chat. The chat's blown up right now.
Yeah, it's good to see. Yeah, no, let's start it off. So
All right.
let's just go into like a little bit of who I am. I didn't really explain too well. So I'm a technical artist for a company called Way Forward. They're primarily known for the Shantae franchise. They do a lot of licensed games for companies such as Disney, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon. You might have heard of those companies. But in all honesty, I'm still just your average 22-year-old who's trying to make an impact in the gaming industry. I just started 2 years ago, and I've already been on close to 10 projects, which is kind of insane looking back on it. But I'm extremely blessed and lucky to have gotten this far so far. But at the end of the day, I'm always still just someone who's learning and trying to process all of what this is, because this is a really big thing for me. Growing up, my dad was in the gaming industry, and I always wanted to be there, and I didn't know how or where I could fit in. So hopefully today I can kind of expand upon the different aspects of the game industry and kind of show you where you might be able to fit in or what might interest you. So that's what I hope to do today for you guys.
Awesome.
So what do I actually do? So my normal 9 to 5 consists of kind of a lot of weird things. I do both 2D and 3D work. So for 2D characters, I usually do primarily exports of animations, but depending on the project that I'm on, I can do a lot more of that. So on this slide, there's a few examples kind of just showing a little bit of what I actually do. So for this little guy, it starts off with a normal like model template, and then from there I go and cut up each individual piece. And then from there we go on to rigging the character. And what rigging the character does is allow the animator to animate the character. Otherwise it would just be a bunch of still images and they wouldn't move at all. I'm kind of the step in between animation and programming. So before any of the art can go in game, I have to physically touch it or do something to it so that the programmers can use it for what they need to do. And here you can kind of see me just moving around these what are called bones. You can kind of think of them like your own bones. Without our bones in our body, we wouldn't be able to move.
Right.
And of course, you also need muscles and all the other stuff. And that's what is referred to as skinning. And what skinning allows is the deformation of the parts to actually like squash and stretch and move in kind of the ways that you see in the animation here. Now, I don't.
Oh, I was gonna say, Armando, I think in the chat they were wondering what games have you worked on. So you mentioned you worked on 10 of those games. Can you list a couple of those?
Yeah. So let's go on what I worked on.
Okay, cool.
Probably should have done that first, but hey, I just wanted to go a little bit in depth with what I do. So yeah, projects that I have worked on. So I worked on a few mainly 2D games, or
Awesome.
at least 2D platformers, such as Spider Swords, which is a run and gun adventure, Shantae and the Seven Sirens, which is another 2D platformer. Recently announced game is Bakugan Champions. I think it's Champions of Historia, but I couldn't find the American logo for it.
Gotcha.
So I'd use the European.
That's cool.
I've also worked on Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I'm working on the DLC right now. And then I'm also working on a ton of projects that I can't talk about yet.
Ooh,
I can't wait for I can't wait for you guys to see them, but I just can't talk about them yet. Otherwise, I would lose my job.
Because we don't want that. But TikTok, the company you work for, does a lot of kind of remastered things. I think the one that kind of they're well known is the DuckTales remastered. That was a few years ago. I know you didn't work on that, but TikTok does a lot of remastered kind of older games, and they give a new feeling to it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it's super fun stuff. I really do wish I could have worked on that because how they did all the art, it's super amazing.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah. So I'm gonna jump back real quick. Now that I've kind of shown you some of the games, I can probably also bring up videos in a little bit, just to give you guys a better idea of what the games actually are. But just kind of another overview of the 3D side of stuff that I do. I also rig 3D characters, so the same principles for 2D I do for 3D. So without bones and skin, models wouldn't be able to move, and they wouldn't be able to be animated. And kind of down on the bottom middle, you can kind of see that. But then I also do other weird stuff, like Olympic animations, which is kind of the flags and any other moving objects that you'll see in games. But then I also do shaders, which not a lot of people know about. It's really cool, and they're super complex. The video is probably not the best of this, but this shader I made kind of reflects like water, and yeah, it's just a part of what I do. I also do a lot of boring stuff like exporting animations, putting them in game, turning, like recoloring a whole bunch of characters. That's not super fun. So I'm not gonna go into that right now.
Cool. How did you learn how to do all this stuff? Because is it mostly learning on the fly? What base did you have to be able to, even apply to TikTok?
Yeah, so for the company WayForward, which I work for, I actually learned a lot of this through YouTube, which is super crazy to say.
That's awesome.
When it comes to jobs in the art and entertainment industry, you don't necessarily need a degree. It can help in some cases if you're trying to get a job at like a really well-known place. But it really boils down to your skill, and a lot of that can be found online nowadays. And I'm actually just going to skip ahead to a few slides.
Yeah, for sure.
And kind of going into what programs you should learn or be looking out for if you want to get into the game industry. And all the ones listed here on this page, like Autodesk Maya, Autodesk 3ds Max, Blender, Unity, Unreal Engine, Fmod, Esoteric Spine, Photoshop, Toon Boom Harmony, and Aseprite. These are all industry-leading programs, And most of these you can get either for free or for extremely cheap. And there's so many videos online that I super encourage any of you guys to look into if you have any interest at all.
There's two questions. One was, what about Illustrator?
Yeah, and Adobe Illustrator is super fantastic as well. It really just depends on the art that you're trying to do and produce.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, like if I can bring up the DuckTales remastered art.
So I have a couple. Yeah, another question was, it just pertains to this. Someone was surprised that was Photoshop, and then another person said, "Can we code in Java?"
Okay, so when it comes to programming languages, this is going to boil down to the engine that you're using. For Unity, it's primarily C#, and you can sometimes use JavaScript, but it's not going to be the most well-known for that.
Okay.
If you're working in Unreal Engine, that's going to be C++. And then there's tons of other programming languages that you can use, but I'd say if you're going to go for any two, it would definitely be C# or C++.
Awesome.
Yeah, when it comes to cute TikTok, that's good. When it comes to Photoshop, yeah, I personally use Photoshop every day. It's one of my main tools and main assets. From there, I primarily do like a lot of the cutting up and recoloring animations. Another thing what I do is make sure all the animations are the correct size, because sometimes we'll get extremely large, like 4K images, when really it's just this tiny little sprite. So what I do is I shrink it down to the correct size for those. How long does it take to program a game? That really depends on the game that you're trying to produce. And I could probably go into that a little bit more later. What would you recommend to learn how to code? Now, when I was going back to, you don't necessarily need a degree to get into the entertainment industry or the game industry. That is true. It's going to be primarily dependent on your skill and how much you're willing to learn and how much you're willing to take feedback and improve upon there. But when it comes to coding, you can learn it online, and that's primarily how I learned how to code. But I do kind of recommend school for that, just because it will be a little bit more structured than what you would find online. And I would definitely go for C# and C++ if you're trying to go for, I want to code for game engines. But if you want to code for any of these programs that are listed here, then I would suggest either Python or JavaScript.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to say, like, so obviously this is like a lot of money if you were to, all bring that together, and not everyone has the
actually
the
not
essence.
at all.
No?
So,
okay.
Yeah, so here's the really cool thing about all these programs. When it comes to all these 3D programs, being Maya, 3ds Max, and Blender, you can learn all of these for free. And
So Photoshop would be the only one that's not free.
Photoshop's the only one that's not free, and
okay, cool.
There are some alternatives that you can use.
Good to know.
Learn.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, and then Blender is just completely free. You guys can download it right now. It's only a few megabytes compared to all the other programs, and you can be up and running extremely fast. What was Little Tank's name? His name is Hero for now. He doesn't have a full name yet.
Awesome. I just want to say, if you're just joining us, my name is Max, and I'm the host. But our guest is Armando. He
Hello.
is a gamer, but also he develops game for a living. And he's a 22-year-old phenom when it comes to it. So if you're joining us, welcome, welcome. We're getting into what does it take to make video games, and how to get involved with that.
Yeah, so when it comes to anything that you want to learn, a lot of these programs are free. The only one that I listed here that is like really paid would be Photoshop, Toon Boom Harmony, and Sprite. And these were going to be for 3 different things. Photoshop's kind of just a good all-around tool if you want to do like some basic animation, cutting up characters, coloring characters. Toon Boom is going to be more for like traditional animation and the animation that you see on like DuckTales. Oops. You could just play these just real quick. Let's just jump to.
Woo! There it is. How awesome.
Yeah, and this is the guy who taught me most of my stuff.
Oh, that's
But yeah,
awesome.
so, and Toon Boom would allow you to do a lot of the drawings and style that you see here, because the video might be a little bit compressed, but these are like really fine lines. And going back to, is Adobe Illustrator good? Adobe Illustrator is perfect for that stuff. Though it is expensive, and that's why I don't usually recommend it off the bat. Are any programs for 2D games? Any program can kind of be for 2D games. It really just depends on your willing and effort to make it happen. Unity is going to be the best option. It's going to be the most simple and fastest way that you can do it. So I would definitely recommend Unity for 2D games.
Awesome. Armando, another question that I think is probably important is you have all these programs, but like what kind of PC do you need to have? Like what kind of, do you need to like have a really expensive computer? Do you need to have certain RAM on it or, certain processor in it? So what kind of, well, one is what kind of PC do you use? And then 2, like what is something that's like, it needs to have this in order to run all these programs?
Yeah, no, of course. Personally, all of my computers are a bit overkill, just because I need to I need to have so many different programs open at the same time that it's just a necessity for me. But if you're just a small indie developer, just trying to get your start, Blender is super fast and very lightweight. You could probably run most of these programs on a computer that released in the past year or 2, or at least in the past few years. So I'd say if you have a laptop or a PC that was made within the last 5 years, you're probably good to make most of what you would want to do. And then, yeah, the question about the Chromebook, you sadly cannot download anything on Chromebooks. I wish you could, because that would be the best barrier to entry. But sadly, you can't do that yet. And what programs do I focus on the most? Sadly, all of these. I use all of these on such a frequent basis that it's hard to say that I don't use any of these. Blender, I'm still learning. It's not the industry standard yet, but companies like Ubisoft and even the guys for the Unreal team are pushing it a lot nowadays. And it's probably going to be the industry standard in the next 5 years. That's why I super recommend Blender, at least right now, because it's for sure free no matter what. There's so many YouTube videos on it as well.
All right. Do you have more slides?
I was just going to break down a game if you want me to.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of people thought we were actually going to make a game during this workshop.
I wish if I could make a game in this amount of time, that would be amazing. But I would also not have a job if that was the case.
Right. So that's a good point. Like, how long does a typical game take? How many people are involved? I know it varies based off of obviously like the money and all that stuff, but like a company, you guys are like probably like an average size video game company, right? Maybe a little larger.
WayForward's been, we've in the past year or 2, we've doubled in size.
Right.
I actually think it's more than that now. We have a lot of people.
I'm sorry. I said TikTok earlier. You're way forward.
Yeah,
My bad. My bad.
it's all good. I mean,
Yeah.
people remember TikTok. That's fine.
Yeah. My bad.
Yeah.
So yeah. So like, how many people? How long does it take to make a game? Uh, what's usually the process?
Yeah, so the process is not going to look super fun. I wish it was just as much as, oops, let's see. I wish the process for games wasn't as intense. Because for sure you can have your like napkin idea and prototype it from there, but the game still needs to get made. And in the pre-production process, there's the GDD creation, which is the game design document. And the game design document is essentially the Bible for how the game should be. It defines all the characters, it defines the story, it defines how the game needs to get programmed, it defines everything. And for this, I'm just going to show you guys a quick example of a GDD I made for a test game prototype for my company. It's also a personal project, so I can show it off. So yeah, so when starting to design a game, you kind of need to set the scope of the game. How many characters is there going to be? What's going to be the art style? What sound effects do we need? What are the cinematics?
Mm-hmm.
How does the game play? Who's the audience? Who's the game for?
Right.
There's all these questions that you need to answer before you get starting to work on these games. And I think Celeste is a good kind of starting point to break it down. Little tank. Oops. So let's start with Celeste. So Celeste, for those who don't know, is a 2D platformer which focuses on getting the player from point A to point B. In this case, the story is the player's interaction with climbing a mountain and the story they share along that path. Oops. So in this 2D platformer, we kind of need to define many things. So what's going to be the style of the game? In this case, for Celeste, it's pixel and sprites. But if you see how her hair moves, there's like weird programming magic that moves the hair around. So that'd all be defined in your GDD as well. So let's break down. I wish I had more photos on this. So I'm gonna run you guys through a GDD for a 2.5D hack and slash adventure game that I came up with in like 5 minutes. But this whole document took hours to actually create because it goes over everything. So let me just run through an introduction. So
sure.
this Blender test is a collaboration between leading industry professionals in the pursuit of learning new skills and programs in a close to actual development environment. The goal is to use Blender in modeling, rigging, and animation to expose the benefits and challenges of the software compared to other premium options. And what this kind of all just means in a normal game would be, what is this game about? If I go back to my little tank guy, this is for a game called Super Tanks and Beasts. It's not a game that exists, and it may never exist, but that's okay. This is a game that comes from my heart, and it's a game that I super want to create. So my introduction for this would be, I want to create a 2D game that mixes both Castlevania, or not Castlevania, Super Ghouls and Ghosts with Metal Slug. Two of my favorite franchises.
I'd be down. That's awesome.
And this would explore his journey through depression and anxiety and how he copes with it along the way. So what would the game scope for this be? In this case, it would just be one unique player character, just my little tank guy, because that's all I am. I'm just one guy. How many enemies would it be? In this case, I'd probably have a few different types. I don't know if any of you guys played like Super Mario Brothers, but there's a few um, different enemy types in there. Like the Goombas, they kind of just walk back and forth. You have the Koopas who kind of like move in a straight line, but they jump along the way. And these are all different enemy types that I would want in my game. So what's the style going to be of the game? I really wish I could show you guys. Actually, I might be able to. Heroes. Sadness. Okay, I wish I could show you guys the rest of the art style. I don't have it on me right now, and that makes me sad that I can't show it off. But yeah, so making games is a lot of work.
So this is like your kind of baby. Like that's something that you're creating. It's kind of like a passion project, you would say.
Yeah, so this is definitely a passion project of mine. I have definitely always had a passion for video games ever since I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
and it took me a while to actually come up with this, and I wouldn't expect any of you guys to do so as well. This took hours and months of just learning and kind of peering over my peers' shoulders, just seeing what they do to do it.
It kind of goes along because there's some questions in the Q&A. So one was, people were wondering, at junior high and high school, like what was your connections with gaming? When did you know that you wanted to create games for a living? And then along the lines of that is, this can seem daunting. And like, when does it just become, oh yeah, like, or how do you still have the passion for creating games where it's like, it's still work and it's still a lot and it's not like, oh, well, I don't know, I'm kind of bored with this now. So yeah, can you just talk a little bit about your passion about gaming and when did you first realize you wanted to do this for a career and for a living?
So I didn't really know that I wanted to do this for a career until really 2 years ago. Before this, I was working at a restaurant where I was the manager. At one point, I got offered my own restaurant for that. The restaurant wasn't doing so good, so I wanted to kind of put my efforts elsewhere. At the time, I was in college and I was going to school for computer science. I didn't know what I wanted to do with that. So I reached out to my dad, who was at Way Forward at the time, and I applied for QA. And I didn't hear back for almost a year. But in that time, they gave me some feedback and they gave me some recommendations for programs I should learn. So I went and learned, oops, where's that? So the programs I learned were Spine and Photoshop. And they gave me a chance to work on the 2D projects. So that's where Spider and Shantae came in. And I'd say the learning time for me to learn both Spine and Photoshop well was about 2 or 3 months.
Mm.
And this is just all going to boil down to just like 2 year drive. And if I can encourage you guys with anything, it'd be to have patience. This stuff does take time, and you will get frustrated, and you'll feel like your work isn't good enough. But sometimes that's good enough. As long as you can show something and show that you're willing to learn and improve, and that you're willing to take feedback, people will give you a chance.
That's
And
huge.
yeah, I wish that was something I learned way back when I was in high school, because I would have focused on all these programs here and I would have been a beast way early on. So yeah, going back to passion's a big thing. When it came to Spider Source, that's probably the project that almost broke me. It was like my first real project that I led, and
Wow.
I was brand new to the game industry, and I was able to lead a project for the 2D side of things. But at the same time, being more of a lead, I had to own up to a lot of my mistakes or a lot of the work falling behind. And there's a lot of work that I wasn't necessarily proud of, but looking back, I'm glad that I did. And even though the project almost broke me at many times because I was frustrated and it wasn't the quality of work that I knew I could produce, it was good enough. And I was at least able to improve upon it after that. So yeah, is it sometimes hard and frustrating to make games? Definitely. uh, and I deal with that on a day-to-day basis. Just because of all the different programs I use. You can be like, why is this not working? And it's my job to figure it out because that's what I get paid to do. Can you see the tank again? Of course, he's amazing. You can spin around. So yeah, when it comes to passion, it's going to be a lot of patience. It's going to be a lot of honesty with yourself.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that you can do is be true to yourself no matter what. Only put out, I'd say only, never, it's hard to put it into a phrase.
Like absolutes, yeah.
Yeah, don't ever, yeah, never think in absolutes. Never lower, never lower your quality until someone tells you to do so. Always
That's
strive
good.
to put out the best thing that you can.
That's awesome.
And you will succeed, and people will notice that. You'll become the head person and the most reliable person there.
I think you're saying some really important things here, Armando. You're saying no, it doesn't even have to be video games. You can have a passion for something, but if you want to do it for a living, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a nurse, a teacher, electrician, whatever it is. You need to be patient. And at first, you start off, it's like, well, what are the inherited gifts that God has given me? Like, first, it starts with identity and just discovering who you are. There's a lot of things that I'm passionate about, right?
Yeah,
I
for
love
sure.
the Ninja Turtles. I'm not gonna be a Ninja Turtle cosplayer for a career or anything like that. That's
I
a
don't know.
passion of mine.
Might
I
be a
don't
good
know.
project. You
I don't know.
never know until you do it.
Maybe. I do know, but I do love what I do, which is being a youth pastor and partnering. I was created to do that. That was my purpose. That's where God has led me. But I think it's really important what you're saying. It's like having passion, but discovering who you are in that, but but also having patience with yourself. Sometimes we could be the harshest critic, and being open to being shaped by others. That's part of having patience, but that's part of being vulnerable. And I love what you were saying. You were just looking over the shoulders of some of your coworkers who have more experience, who've been in the industry longer, and that's how you learn. It's not saying, hey, I'm the best at this, but it's more like, hey, what can I learn? And not just what can I take from somebody else, like that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But more
Yeah.
like, hey, how can I be in a relationship with somebody else, and we can be on our journey together and learn from one another? And that's just not video games. That's anything. I mean, that's just being in the journey of life in relationship with community and other people.
Yeah, and there's something that I want to touch on with that as well. A lot of times, what you'll hear in the entertainment industry is that it's really who you know, and that's not always the case.
Oh, that's good.
Sure,
I'm
you can
glad you
always
said that.
you can know thousands of people, you can know hundreds of people, um, but you got to know people who are going to be willing to vouch for you, who are willing to put their reputation on the line for you, and kind of vice versa for you for them. Um, are they surround yourself with people that you trust and people that will call you out on your mistakes and will try to help you improve and better yourself, because that's a very important thing. Like, yes, you can know a lot of people, but it really does come down to who will vouch for you. And if you're trying to get out there in any part, apply everywhere. When I was first out of high school, I had no college savings. I had no money. I had no bank account. I had to get a job working for a fair, working from like basically sun up to sundown, 6 days a week, just so that I could afford my first semester of college and still go into student debt.
Yeah.
But when it came to the game industry, I really did have to humble myself and try to put myself out there as much as I can. A great resource, at least that I know way forward checks, is Twitter. Um, put out all your animations. Even if you don't think they're the best, put them out. You'll only improve, and only you'll be reaching more communities that way, or you'll find a community that will interest you by doing so.
That's awesome. I love that because it's that can be such a limiting thought. Like, I will only be in this industry, or I will only do this thing if I know somebody. And if that's the case, it's like, well, you know, then your talents and your passions, they mean nothing. Like, no, it's, I love what you said. Like, allow someone to take a shot on you, and that's where I think character comes in. That's who you are at your core. Like, those are the times to really shine. And your character comes out, and your character is defined of just who you are, right?
Yeah,
People
no,
will
definitely.
sniff out, things that are phony, like right off the bat, especially in a job interview. But
Yeah.
if you're genuine, if you're honest, if you're learning to, or I'm sorry, if you're willing to learn and say, like, I just want to learn, I just want to be the best team player, and be genuine about it, man, you'll get hired. You'll get hired in anything you do. Somebody was wondering, is that what you went to college for? Programming and designing
Yeah,
and stuff.
so originally I went to programming for computer science, so I was learning every language that I could. Did I end up finishing that? No. Eventually, I probably will go back just so I can sharpen up my skills. If there's anything that you can do, is never stop learning. I'll encourage that until the day I die. Uh, like everything that I do every day is just a constant new learning experience. So yeah, yeah. I originally went to school for computer science, but didn't end up doing that. I now like make art move.
Okay, so Armando, I was just told that we have about 5 minutes left. So what we're gonna
Yes.
do is
Switch over.
lightning round. So I thought we went to one. We only go to 12:45. So we're gonna try to just hit as many questions as possible. Attendees, guys, make sure you put it in the Q&A section, not the chat. So let's just all streamline it. All right, ready?
Do it.
Lightning round. Okay. Do you need to have a drawing pad, or how does that work with creating games? Does that work?
I do have a drawing pad.
Okay, so
Do
yes.
I would recommend it. It's a lot easier to learn with like a normal pen and pencil rather than a mouse.
Okay, I think I know the answer to this, but can you do any kind of programming or coding on a phone?
Yes, you can. That's how I did
Really?
most of
Okay.
my. That's how I did all my work at college.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. I'm glad you're the expert, because I would have thought that's not the case. Okay. Um,
Do you like the
uh,
company that I'm with? Yes,
Thank
I
you.
super love them and I am thankful for them every day.
Okay, so I saw one, but we said earlier, which website do you think I should go to learn coding? You said YouTube.
Yeah, highly recommend YouTube. There's so many tutorials. Do it.
A lot of people are wondering, do you stream? Do you Twitch? Do you have a YouTube? That stuff.
No, but I do have an email. So if you guys do want to contact me at my email, I will try to answer you guys.
Ooh,
Uh, may make a YouTube channel after that if there's anything that's like super repetitive and I can make a video on.
that would be awesome. Uh, do you have to know how to code to make a game?
You
Is
do
that
not.
a
I
requirement?
basically do none now.
Okay. Because you're
It depends
mostly
on
in the
what.
art department, right?
Yeah, I mostly do art. If you're going to be a programmer, yes, you have to learn how to how to code.
Okay. Somebody was wondering what company you work for. It's
I work for Way Forward Technologies.
okay. Where do you get sound effects for video games?
Sound effects, you can make them. You can download them on asset stores for like Unity and Unreal. Check Twitter. So many places that you can find them online.
Okay. What is like the most popular game you've worked on?
I think Shantae. Shantae and the Seven Sirens. Go check it out.
In your opinion, what's the best game graphic wise?
The best game graphic wise, I'm going to leave that up to you guys. You guys can go look at some of the games I made, and I'll let you be the judge of that for yourself.
Uh,
How easy is it to port Blender models to Unity? Actually, super easy if depending on the rigging solution that you're using. Email me for more info.
somebody was curious about like the control aspects. So how does that process work as far as like controlling the character and the game?
Controlling a character. Blammo, let's go into way too much detail.
Lightning round style.
Oh no. Yeah, so usually programmer would follow a GDD. Depending on way too many variables for coding, they would probably read it. So like the jump button, if the player is running forward, do this jump, play this animation. You'd probably just want to define your control scheme before you do the actual coding. That would be my recommendation. If you guys want to steal my control scheme for mobile, it's right there. More questions?
Is modding a good place to start?
I must say yes. Yeah, but
Uh,
you could also, I highly recommend doing any of the Unity or Unreal tutorials. There's so many, and you can welcome to the first create a mod. So maybe modding is a good idea.
awesome. A few more. What game do you play the most? Like what are you playing right now?
Currently playing Ghost of Tsushima. Other than that, I would probably be playing like Super Mario on NES.
Brings a good point. Like, okay, so like my experience of making video games would be Mario Maker. Is
Yeah,
that a place to
actually,
start?
so funny enough, you can probably use your Mario Maker levels to apply for level designing spots for different game companies. It's really
There it is.
you just need to put yourself out there. I know a few level designers who have done so.
That's awesome. So if you want to start making video games and you have access to a Switch, Mario Maker. All right, Armando, we have to we probably have 1 minute. So
Yeah.
Last question I'll ask you is I guess we'll say it like this. Okay, so if you were to kind of encapsulate everything that we just talked about today, what are just some first steps for our gamers?
Check YouTube. If there's any interest that you have, look it up on YouTube. Even if you don't think what you're doing is good enough, it is good enough. You can always improve. You will improve. Repetition is key. Never stop learning. And yeah, just give yourself a shot. Apply yourself everywhere.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned your email. Do you want to just put your email in the chat?
Yes.
All right.
Let's see.
So if you want to follow up with Armando and have any questions, he's willing to give out his email for that. So
yeah, and I also recommend this guy at internaltrigger.com. He may be my father. He knows a lot of stuff about video games too, and he will definitely answer all of them when he can.
You're his Padawan.
Yes.
Yes.
Q&A.
So
Why can't
amazing.
I?
Well, I feel like we were just getting the conversation started. So, man, maybe this is a opportunity for you to start twitching or YouTubing or, you know, create a Discord at least.
I would love to. So far, I've trained one person successfully, and they work with me now.
Boom. So
So
here it is. So I know you talked about not needing to know somebody, but if you're part of this workshop, here's Armando.
use me as a resource.
Yes, he's doing exactly what you want to do. If you want to make video games, again, he's like 22. He's not that much older than you, and he's doing it the right way. So get to know him, start a relationship. It all begins with relationships and friends. So I think that's going to end our workshop here. Is there anything else, Armando, the email or Twitter or I don't know, Instagram? I don't know if you want to throw it out there, but yeah.
Yeah, so my email is at armandosoto4@gmail.com. Trying to find chat. I don't know where I put it.
I got it.
But,
Armando Soto 4. Just the number, right?
yeah, just the number 4.
At Gmail.
That's going to be the best place to reach out to me right now. I am only human, so it may take me a minute to respond, but I will try to respond. I've been thinking about making a YouTube channel and stuff anyways, so if there's any repetitive questions, I will try to answer them there. Just needs to take time to set up.
Awesome. So great. I want to thank everybody for being part of this gaming workshop. Like I said, being around gamers, being able to talk to gamers, it makes my heart full. So this has been awesome. Again, if you're passionate about wanting to make games, start YouTube. Everyone has access to YouTube. Be a learner. Start there. And you have Armando as a resource. But thank you so much for joining us for this awesome workshop. Keep gaming, keep following God, and you're amazing. All right, we'll see you later.